Tashdele to everyone, and welcome to the grammar class on generalized particles. So today we're going to have the third class on generalized particles. We have discussed already the chitra. We have discussed chitra, and now we are going to discuss about su and kang. And these are quite interesting particles, as we have seen. One can be used for questioning and interrogation. The other one is to provide examples and so on. And so we will discuss the function or the working of the particle su. And then kang. Kang is interesting. And so previously we were talking about how when we are talking kang, can be pervasive over all the above usage cases, and there are some scholars who would have the preference where they would say that kang ni suni kangsa kang ni gun laos. So when they say kang gun laos, they will have their own understanding that kang gun refers to not the all of the usage cases, but the entire phenomena, because su can be used with kangsa, person, and kang can be used with both person and things which are not person, or things phenomena which are not just person. It could be both sentient and non-sentient things, like the objects. So we're going to discuss, but according to our understanding, which is according to the lesson that we are learning, we have to say that according to our understanding, Kang does not talk about all phenomena. Kanggun doesn't talk about all phenomena, but it has a different meaning that says it is pervasive towards all usage cases. And so I will establish it with the help of the text. So before we go there, let me recite the verse. So today the verse is this verse is not written by me. It's a verse that I have taken because yesterday I was reading this one. So currently I'm reading the series of books which is published in Tibet. It's on various forms, various texts on grammar. A very wonderful text, but very difficult to get hold of. So it's a very wonderful text. So in which they have discovered a translation of a Chinese poem. It's a Chinese verse in which the scholar, what he has done is that he has provided each line as an example for each grammatical usage cases. So we have 8 grammatical usage case. So this was translated. And then these particular texts that were found, these were from the documents from the Tungo cave, those documents which were retrieved from the Tungo cave, which had both historical documents as well as different texts. So it is said that it was during the time, probably during the time when Tibet was facing Tibet was facing problem because of its final emperor, that many of the documents were taken in order to be saved. So therefore, many of those were retrieved from the Tungo cave. And so from that very document, I have taken this particular verse, which has all the 8 grammatical case usage. So and I wanted to share with every one of you. So before we go to the verse, let me begin with the line of dedication. So Lama Jambe Yang Chatselo. I prostrate to you, O Guru and Lord Manjushri. So with this, let me begin reading this verse. Meto Getse Junshin Yu. Junshin Lani Lungki Gu. Junshin Kini Langpo Kel. Junshin Chilni Chutongshi. 준신 레니 메토충 신기 열카 럽도 댐 준베신라 차창지 게게 준신 워터제. Let me read this once again. 메토 게첼 준신유 준신라니 롱기규 준신키니 랑보케 준신치니 추종시 준신레니 메도총 신기예가 럽도댐 준베신라 차창지 게게 준신 워서제. Okay, so this is the verse in which we see that the first line is an example of the first grammatical case. The second line is the example of the second grammatical case. The first one is the grammatical case of the name and the word, individualizing the name and word, the first grammatical case. The second one is action on an object. The third one is action done by a subject. So this is an example of the third grammatical case, chera. The fourth grammatical case, guiche, doing benefit or harm towards an object or purpose of action, usually understood as purpose of action. The fifth one is an example of the ablative case, showing what has come from, what has originated from which. And then the sixth one is the relative case, delta. The seventh one is the case of showing a position in it. And the third one, the final one is the vocative case for calling out someone. So we see the usage of each of the grammatical case here. So let me read the English translation. So I prostrate to the Guru and Lord Manjushri. There is a tree in the great flower garden. The tree is moved by the wind. The elephant is knocked down by the tree. Bring the water for the tree. The flowers are born from the tree. The branches of the tree are most supple. There is a bird's nest on the tree. Oh, tree, how wondrous and beautiful you are. So this is the translation of the verse. So now with this, let us begin our class today. And we're going to discuss the final two particles. One is su, the other is kang. So beginning with the line from the Tree of Excellent Speech. Su ni kansa kangun lao. Su ni kansa kangun lao. So from the Tree of Excellent Speech, su is for person, kansa means person, and kang is applicable for all the above cases. And whenever we try to, so when it comes to the concept, when it comes to the method of establishing something, it can be either established by reference to an old text, or it can be established by one's logic. So it could be logically established, or it could be established by referring to a text. So currently, what I have done is that I have established this very definition that kang is applicable for all the above cases, not based on any. So even though it has a logical aspect, but it's based on reference, because I'm bringing out a verse that was stated in the original text, which supports my argument. So I will establish this particular commentary on the basis of the reference of the text, and not on the basis of reasoning or logical, not based on logical system. So this is establishment on the basis of a textual reference. So in Tibetan we say lung and rikpa. Lung means textual reference, something that we refer from the text to establish something. And rikpa means logical, analytical and logical method of establishing something. So here I will be using the first one, the former and not the later. Okay, so the line says Su ni kangsa kangyun lao. Su is for person and kang is applicable for all the above cases. Okay. So su kangsa kang gyun la juk. Su is used with person, kang is used with all of the above. Okay, so ni kangsa chi tuenpe chi tre sikche. So let me repeat this again. Su ni kangsa chi tuenpe chi tre sikche. So kangsa chi means general meaning of a person, that not a specific person, person in a general term, general understanding, person as a general understanding. It could be any person. It need not be a specific person. It need not be the person. It could be a person, and it could be any person. So therefore, general meaning or general term of a person. So su is a generalized particle. So definitely it's a generalized particle, which shows the general meaning of a person, or it shows the general term of a person, meaning that a general meaning that we understand that su is used to refer a person, but not in a specific way. It could be any person. It has not been specified. It has not been determined. So therefore, in a general meaning. So, penna nang te su de. So I am exaggerating the sound of ha kyu yi, and currently I'm doing this so that every one of you can get used to that stretching of the sound. And later, when you get used to the stretching, you can shorten it a little bit while speaking, because it will be very strange if you stretch the sound even while conversing with people. But then it is better to do this while practicing the reading, because you'll see the very function of ha kyu yi and sa. You'll see that sa is a very short sound and ha kyu yi is a stretched sound. So therefore, sometimes it's very important to exaggerate the syllable. It's very important to exaggerate the syllable in order to get a better pronunciation, or better, a clearer sound. Penna nang te su re tam. Leka tentra sangma su che sam. Kanna ki lentre su trungne lap sam. Let me repeat the example. Nang te su re tam. Leka tentra sangma su che sam. Kanna ki lentre su trungne lap sam. Okay, so the first one, nang te su re tam, means whose house is that? So in this usage case, we are using su to refer to a person, and we're talking about the possession of something, something belonging to someone. So whose house is that? Then, lega tendra zangma su che sam. Who did such a clean work like that? So like that is something that that was translated for tedra. Normally we can do it with who did such a clean work. So who did such a clean work like that, in which the su or su refers to who. So it doesn't talk about relation between an object and the owner of the object. It talks about the relation between the subject and the action. Okay, so and if you also notice here, you'll notice that we have used the word tedra. Tedra is a word that is used to specify. We have discussed this in the previous class, but I'm gently reminding everyone that tedra is a word that specifies. It's a word that specifies something. Whereas chidra is a word that generalize things. So who did such a clean work like that? Third example, Karna ki lenje su phung ne lap sam. From whom? Now we have su as whom. From whom should one study virtuous and non-virtuous deed? Karna is an example here. It's more like an example provided here. So kar is used for virtuous, nak is used for non-virtuous deed. And this also goes with the this also goes with the traditional understanding of virtuous and non-virtuous deed. When we were young, so when we were child, when we were very young, our, like for example, for me, my grandfather would tell us, whenever we do something good or bad, there is someone, like for now we understand that it is the overseer of the hell realm. So what they would do is that they would stack the white stone for every virtuous deed and black stone for every non-virtuous deed. And so you see that from this particular type of examples that were provided, these type of narrations that were given to us, while to visualize our, and it is a very effective method also, because when we talk about virtuous and non-virtuous in the context of something being more mental thing, especially for a child, it is very difficult to analyze those things. When you have something more tangible as a visual, you feel that there is actually something solid there, which is keeping accounts of what you were doing, what good or bad you were doing. So therefore, from those narrations, we get the idea of white being the virtuous and black being the non-virtuous. And definitely it is a mere designation or labeling, but still it's for a particular function. It functions, it has a purpose. Okay, so therefore the reason why we use karna for virtuous and non-virtuous gives a more visual perception. It gives a more visual understanding of the concept. Okay, so for the first example, su was whose, meaning that a person to which something belonged. The second was who, meaning a person that has done an action. And third is whom, meaning a person from whom something should be taken from. So we see that su can be used for all of the cases regarding person. Suni, kangsa. So therefore, su can be used for general meaning of a person. And here, all of the su is used as a question. It is used as interrogative. It is used in an interrogative statement, as we see. So therefore, we see that the usage of su here is done for who, whose, whom. So this is how we use su. We understood that chi is used for questioning. Chi is used for providing examples or something that has been said in the past or will be said in the future. And similarly, su will be used for any case in which it has to represent a general understanding of a person, meaning that in any statement where you need something that has to be used as a person in a general sense, you use su. So we can use all of this. Sunda, suichir. So you see, all of the companion word can be used with su also when it comes to the understanding of person. So let me provide an example here. Suichir. kale tendra suichir kale tendra we can say nyong or we can say nyang. So suichir to kale tendra nyong. So for whom should we for whom should be for whom should it could be you or we experience such difficulty, hardship. So for whom should we experience such hardship? So suichir sundra shi do means how was that person? So it could be used for who or it could be used for person also. It can also be translated as person. Sundra shikdu. How is the person? What did the person look like? Or how was the person? Right? So therefore, su can be used for any general usage for person. It could be, if it's interrogative, it's either whom, whose, who. If it's for a statement, then it's person. In most cases, it's just person. So this is the usage of su. We understand this is the usage of su. For example, we have this question. We ask, konsure. Konsure means, who is that person? Or then we have sundashi, whosoever. Sula, whomever. So therefore, it can either be understood as who or it could be understood as person. Kangsa. So this is the usage of the particle su. Now we're going to talk about the particle kang. And so now I will be providing the textual reference. The textual reference here. So this is these are three lines which are lines related to the generalized particle in the original text of 30. Okay. Longtong ba tsaw sumju balle. Kangmin jube tangbo ru. Tangbo lani nipa jar. Chila kyapa nitu kyur. Let me repeat this again. Kangmin jube tangbo ru. Tangbo lani nipa jar. Chila kyapa nitu kyur. So from 30, in the former, meaning that it's always written in the front to any name stated. So it could be any name, it could be any companion word also. Connect or you can say join. You can either understand this as join or connect. Connect the second. So here nipa means second. Jar means to join or connect. Connect the second. What second? Second suffix letter. We have 10 suffix letter. Kanga tana pama rala sa. We have 10 suffix letter, out of which connect the second suffix letter to the first suffix letter. What is the second suffix letter? The second suffix letter is nga. And the first suffix letter is ka. So join or connect the first suffix letter to the second suffix letter, and you will get a particle that is kang. And so this particle kang becomes the generalized particle. So now we see from the text, the very text of, and in the text of 30, we don't particularly have the rest of the generalized particle. Those are more inferential, like I said. These were more inferential. But in the text itself, we see that it is stated that the term which is kang, which is made from joining the first suffix letter ka to the second suffix letter nga. Kang, you join them together, you get kang, and this particular particle kang becomes the generalized particle. Now we understand that when we talk about generalized particle, kang is pervasive towards the entire concept of generalized particle. So this is the textual reference that I'm providing to prove my explanation of what kanggu means. Like I said, some of the scholars will stick to the understanding that kanggun refers to all the phenomena. But I say this is not the case. The thing is that kanggu has to be all of the previous usage cases. Why? Because in the very text 30, it is stated that the generalized particle that has been formed, it is made from joining the first suffix letter to the second suffix letter. Thus, the word kang. The word kang is the generalized particle. Okay, so Ming kang rung jube tangbo ru, jinju tangbo kala, jinju nipa nga jarwe, kangra ni tönchi la kyaben daru kyuru. Let me repeat this. Ming, and I will be exaggerating some of the words for a clearer pronunciation so that you can, every one of you can practice pronunciation as well as learning the grammar and also reading. So, Ming kang rung jube tangbo ru, jinju tangbo kala, jinju nipa nga jarwe, kangra ni tönchi la kyabe daru kyuru. Okay. When stated, formal to any name stated, meaning when it is written before any name, it could be a companion word, it could be a verb, it could be a name. The first suffix letter ka is joined with the second suffix letter nga, thus giving us the particle of kang. We get the particle of kang, which becomes the generalized particle, So we understood that the generalized particle, according to the main text that is 30, is kang. And the rest of the generalized particle, ji, su, are all inferential, are not directly stated where? Not directly stated in 30. It's not that it is not directly stated in the tree of excellent speech. When we're talking about tree of excellent speech, yes, all of these are directly stated in the tree of excellent speech, and all of these are particles which are directly stated in the text. But now when we talk about 30, only kang is the directly stated particle, whereas the rest are all inferential particle, which were made clear by different translators and great grammarians and scholars who analyzed the text again and again, and who analyzed both the spoken language and the written language and the original dialect to come up with these inferential usage cases. And so therefore, this may be like a repetition again and again. So it is very important to understand that my approach is mostly inclined towards the written language, but this in no way tells you, this in no way is to tell any one of you that the spoken language is not of any significance. No, spoken language is of very great significance, and it is of a great significance in two ways. So one is that because of the spoken language, and especially because of the original dialect, we can understand the kind of society that the particular region is, because in some of the Eastern Tibetan region, there is a great usage of the imperative verb, especially imperative as a command. So therefore, it will tell us a lot about that particular region, especially then when we look at the more central areas, the central Tibet, we see that there is a great usage. There is a very great usage of the honorifics. This tells us that the society there were such and such in a way. that the main government was there and everyone was accustomed to having officials living in their community. So therefore, regional dialects are very important when it comes to understanding a society. And second thing, it is also a milestone. The regional dialects are also milestone, and this is according to Siddhu Rinpoche in his commentary, the Great Commentary. He says that the regional dialect is also so. This is something that he has not said exactly. So my translation will vary with the very word that has been said. But the meaning of that thing that he said is that regional dialects are also a sort of an evidence, a historical evidence of particular era, because different regional dialect emerged in different era, different time. So therefore, spoken language and regional dialects are very significant. They are very important. But just like it is said by Atisha, he says that the number of knowledge is various and innumerable, and life is short. And so one should prioritize what they aim towards. So therefore, spoken language and regional dialects are important, but because of the very limitation of a person, I'm personally focusing only on written language. So therefore, we see that written language as well as the spoken and the regional dialects very important, very, very important. Okay, so getting back to the reasoning. So therefore, Kang is pervasive to all of the rest because Kang is the original particle of generalized particle, and the rest were inferential. And so therefore, since in the text it is said that Kang is the generalized particle, Kang becomes the generalized particle. So we see that Kang is pervasive over all of the rest. The thing about being pervasive over all of that, one argument could be made that, oh, in that case, Su seems to be working with most of the companion words. And this is true. Su seems to be working with most of the companion words. Then shouldn't Su be also pervasive over all of them? And then we will say that no, because Su only talks about person, whereas Ji or Chi can also talk about examples, can also talk about things that has to be said, can also refer to certain uncertainty, which has nothing to do with person. And so some of the scholars may make this argument that if that is the case, then Kang should be like a more pervasive form of Su, where it not only is applicable for a person, it's also applicable for the rest of the phenomena. And so both Su and Kang should be pervasive over the rest. Kang should be pervasive in a way that not only does it take an account for a person, it also takes an account for rest of the phenomena, such as examples and so on and so forth. That is also a very valid argument. But we see that in those arguments, most of the establishment of the arguments are done logically, and so it is a very wonderful establishment. But we counter that by a textual reference. So it is up to every one of you to decide whether which one seems more valid. And then if the former seems valid, then you can have your own reasoning. If the later seems valid, you can have your own textual reference. But in any case, understand that Kang is pervasive over all of the above usage cases, Su, Ji, and Chi. And therefore, the textual reference also tells us that Su was not a particle that was stated directly in 30. So therefore, Su might not enjoy the same sort of status as Kang when it comes to the generalized particle. So there is an argument. So Okay, so therefore, Kang is pervasive over all of the above usage cases. Lasso. So, penna. Saja Kangsa Droyang Rangi Payutan me. Let me repeat this. Saja Kangsa Droyang Rangi Payutan me. Kangtar Ngansu Lega Dri Drubki Retam. Kangtar Ngansu Lega Di Drubki Retam. So there is two Kangtar. Now this is a little more tricky thing because Kangtar, and then we say Kangtar. Kangtar means no matter what. Kangtar means how. And the difference between both of this is just the tone, the way you change the tone. One is Kangtar, the other one is Kangtar. The first one is like two different words, whereas the first one seems like two different syllable. Second one seems like two different syllable, like Kangtar, whereas the first one is Kangtar. And you see that just because of the difference of the sound, and there are many nuances like this. Like for example, one of my favorite one is Tashi Tele. When we say Tashi Tele, it means I wish good health and prosperity upon you. When we say Timi Tashi Tele Resha, that means that that person is useless. We're using Tashi Tele, but because of the tone, you see that the meaning changes. And for such situation, if we say which means that now the chance has been missed. It has been a waste. Or then we say oh tashi tele redu, which means instead of saying tashi tele redu, we say tashi tele redu. It means that it is a very auspicious event. So you see, similarly, we have Kangtar and Kangtar, which changes the meaning. Kangtar means no matter what. It's like no matter what. Kangtar means how. Kangtar ngansu lega di trubki retam. Okay. Then Kangchir. So what we do is that we separate these two. We make a little bit pause. We'll make a small pause in the between, which makes all of the difference. Kangchir keki nge ming pyo inam. Kangchir keki nge ming pyo inam. Kangtu su nang la lozi yuetam. In the written, we use kangtu. When it comes to grammar, we use kangtu. But in the colloquial, we have the usage as katu. So you can have the usage as katu. But then in the context of grammar, we use kangtu, kangwa, kangsar. Where in colloquial, we can say katu, kawa, kangje, kangja. So we see that here we have say kangtu su na la lo zi yue tam. Okay, so most of these are questions. So the first one, saja kangsa droya rangi payu tar na me. Wherever I may go, there is no place like my fatherland. Second one, kangtar ngatsu legati rubki retam. How will we complete this work? Kangchir keki nge ming pyo. Why did you call my name? Kangchir is similar to chichir. We have studied chichir, right? In the previous, and Kangtar is chitar. It's similar to chitar. So Kangchir is similar to chichir. It is inquiring the reason. So why did you call my name? What Kangtusu na la lo zi yue tam? What time are you planning to return home? So we see that all of these are usage cases in which things like Kangchir, Kangtar are usage case which is similar to the usage of chitar and chichir. Chishik, Kangshik, Chinra, Kangdra, Chite, Kangte, Chile, Kangle. Right? So you see that, therefore, Kang is pervasive in the usage cases. In the usage cases. And Kang may be used for person, but there are some exceptions. It cannot go directly as who. It cannot be used directly as who. 콩 수유래, 콩 강하래. No. If it's a 콩 강하래 means what is he here for? And what is he or she here for? So you see that there are exceptions. And then you'll see that there are, in some cases, Kang can be used with certain companion words, but with other companion words, it may not work very well. Like Kang Si. It's something that doesn't work. Kang Ni doesn't work. So there are some exceptions. So definitely there are some exceptions where it cannot be used. But in the understanding of the function, Kang is pervasive over all of the above cases. So this is the example of the usage of Kang. Now I have two examples here from the text where we have the usage of Kang. And the first one, the Kang is used as person in place of person, so in place of su. So, long temba, so this is from 30, and this is the verse of worship. The first, so we know that every text that was written in Tibet, especially during the time of Songtsen Gampo, the very tradition that was from the Nalanda, which is to begin the text with the verse of worship. And this was done particularly, we have already discussed, but I'll just brush through this quickly. This is done in order, this is done for two reasons. One, the verse of worship was done in order to pay homage to a particular deity. And the purpose was to protect oneself from the three laziness while pursuing or while writing a particular text, because someone might be writing a text and then they might be writing, and in the middle of writing they might feel like, oh, this is too long, and I cannot complete this. So they would have lack of confidence, which would make them lose their determination. Or then they might be thinking, oh, I can write this text anytime. Right now, let me do this, let me do that. So simply procrastination, and procrastination not for a virtuous reason, but for some for a very mundane reason, like going to meet friends or just laying down whole day, for example. And then the other one could be because of a very low self-esteem. And then there are also various type of obstacles, like there could be sudden death, there could be unannounced death while writing the text. One might fall sick, and then because one is sick, one might not be able to continue writing this, or they might be sick for a long time, very long time, that later on when they want to pick it up again, they might lose interest, they might lose the determination. So for all of those obstacles and the laziness, to protect them from these form of obstacles, the verse of worship was written. And verse of worship, and many a times, even in a verse of worship or the name of the text, it could be written in Sanskrit, or they may use a certain word in Sanskrit. And this is done for two reasons. First reason is to pay homage to the language in which the Buddha's Dharma has been written down. And the second reason is to tell that because most of the text and treatises on Buddhism were written during the time of Nalanda, and those were of a great standard. So the scholars would write something in Sanskrit to symbolize that this text is on par. This text is of the same standard of the text from Nalanda. Okay, so this example. So here we have Kang. Kang is used for person. So the verse of worship, Kang la yunde chongawe, kunjo de la chachelo, Kang ki dayang kun songwa, kun songwe jambe yang la chachelo, Kang ki mingshi ngun songba, deshi wa la chachelo. Meaning, Kang refers to the one who. The one who. So it is referring to a person. So the one who have all the good qualities within them, I prostrate to that 3 gems. The one who spoke, who first spoke all of the vowels and sounds, Manjushri, I prostrate to you. And then the one who first, this comes from the reference from the text of Panini. So the one who first stated the consonants, I shall bow down to you in reverence, O Tat Shiva, so which is the Shiva. So therefore here we see that the first Kang refers to the 3 gems. The second Kang refers to Manjushri, and the third Kang refers to Tat Shiva or Shiva. So this is from the 30. Now this example is from the Nagarjuna's Mula Madhyamika Karika, chapter 22nd. So this has to be changed. Okay, so this verse in which you see the usage of the generalized particle Kang. So the verse is Phumi Phumbo Leshimi, Tela Themi, Teterme, Deshaba Pondeme, Deshaba Kangshi. In this particular verse, you see the usage of Kang in the last sentence statement, which is Deshin Shapa Kang Shik In. So here Kang is used for general phenomena. It states that what is, if that is not the Tathagat, then what is the Tathagat? So we understand it as what here, a usage as what, referring to a general phenomena. Okay, so with this, we're done with the generalized particle. We have started from the identification of the particle. Then we talked about the usage cases with each of the particle. First, we discussed the Chita, then we went to Chita, and then we went to Su, and then Kangda. And so we have understood that all of these are particles which are used for generalizing something, to use something in a general sense, and not to specify, not as a determiner which specifies something, but rather to generalize things. Okay, so before I read the final verse, do we have questions? So I have time for 2 questions. Do we have questions? Any questions regarding today's lesson? What is the function of Kangyaya? Kangyaya, here Kang is used as, here Kangyaya should be understood as Chi. It should be understood as Chi. So it says that it is giving a quantitative quantitative or qualitative. It's more like quantitative, meaning that as good as. So as good as. So he is as good as of a man. So here Kang is used as Chi, providing a quantitative or more like, yes, a quantitative meaning of as good as, or as much as good, or as good as here. So saying that he is a person who is very good or as good as a person could be. So providing example or reference, or could be also understood as a quantitative understanding of how good. So it's used for chi. Yeah. Now, yes, so I will just run through that in a very brief, because this is a very interesting verse. So it talks about the here we talk about we examine the Tathagat, whether it is the understanding, and we have the same examination of the Tathagat in the commentary by Buddha Palita. Very interesting there too, where he examines the Tathagata, not only Tathagata, but the very nature of phenomena. It states that, so very briefly, so the aggregates, the non-aggregates is not other than the aggregates. It is not without aggregates, and it is not so we should understand as the Tathagata, right? So Tathagata is not non-aggregate, and that the non-aggregate itself is not other than the aggregates. It is not without the aggregates, it is not the aggregates. Tathagata is not with absolute aggregates. And similarly, if that is the case, where it is neither the aggregates, when we say aggregates, we must understand the absolute aggregates, which is aggregates which is independently existing, the intrinsically existing aggregates. And it is also it is not also something that is other than the aggregates. So there is nothing other than the aggregate itself, but then it is not the absolute aggregate also. And if that is the case, then what is the Tathagata? If we have to, so therefore it talks about the understanding of the conventional conventional system and the ultimate reality. And especially here, it is more significant because we're talking in the context of prasangik madhyamika, where we talk about the mere imputation of the name, and the mere imputation of the name is conventionally. So in the illuminating the intent by Lama Tsongkhapa, the sixth chapter, the chapter on the sixth ground, you will have this line. It is from the Aryadeva's 400 verse, in which he states that the very concept of self existing on the mere imputation of name, the name itself is conventionally there. So if you want to, in the prasangik madhyamika, as well as the as well as the both madhyamika we have, the Swatantric Madhyamika and Prasangik Madhyamika, we should understand that when we talk about self or existing phenomena, there are mere imputation. There exists by mere imputation of the name. But the name itself is only conventionally existing. That in the view of the ultimate reality, the name is in both cases. Definitely, when we talk about Swatantric, we see that there is a more gross understanding of self. That is a self that is intrinsically existing. They themselves may say that that is not the case, but in comparison to the prasangik, it is a very gross self and it is independently existing. But even when we talk about the mere imputation of the name, the mere imputation of the name is also conventional. That in the view of the ultimate, the name itself doesn't exist. So this is from the sixth chapter, the sixth ground, illuminating the intent. The verse, the particular, is probably from the 400 verse. So those who are interested may check it out in the illuminating the intent, where we see that Chandrakirti is also tackling this particular concept. Okay, so this is a very brief explanation. And those who are interested in this, please listen to the teachings of His Holiness or any other great teachers, and then read the very text. Lasso. Okay, so now before I go to the verse, do we have anyone who wants to recite? Do we have anyone who wants to recite the fifth portion of the Tree of Excellent Speech? Do we have anyone who would like to recite the fifth portion of the Tree of Excellent Speech? Okay, definitely. So if there is no one, then please, Yurila, please recite the fifth portion. Hola, so.
Lama tango po jitsun japaya la jazero om arapaza nadi. Nini gauda mempe da. Tani duje gyunzen tang. Zeka tanga ngala juk. Minki tome te ta ni. Tanye tema tapa tang. Namtang shenje nye la juk. Chi sukan chita te. Shikte leta chila chi. Neshin talshin ke la chi. Ni su ni kansa kankun la o.
Lasso. So thank you very much. Most wonderfully recited. Okay, so now before we complete today's lesson, let me recite the final verse. So this verse was inspired by the previous verse. So it's the similar type of verse in which I have used each grammatical case for each line. So tawa kar sil sirche, the first grammatical case. Sashi runi yang datro, second grammatical case. Ösir kini semdong che, third grammatical case. Lama tento rabshawa, the fourth grammatical case. Choi nane tanye hang, fifth grammatical case. Lame shere teni ten, sixth grammatical case. Semsu lama dugyang ten, seventh grammatical case. Kei tawa semdong che. Okay, so what does this mean? It means that tawa ka se silse che means the white and bright shining moon with the cold gentle rays. Sashi runi yang datro, most completely illuminating the grounds. This ray of light, when it hits me, it gives me a lot of pain in my mind. Lama tento shawa, rab shawa, shining, most brightly shining, to make me remind or make me miss my guru. From the lake, I can see from the lake appears the reflection of the moon. Looking at it, I recall the face of my guru again and again. Simsu lama dugyante. Even though my guru is in my mind, in my heart, I still miss him. Oh moon, you are such a pain in the heart. Okay, so this is the verse for today, and with this we have most wonderfully completed today's lesson. So those of you who have questions regarding today's lesson, please make sure that you ask them in the group, or you can directly ask me. And then if there is any other doubt regarding the lessons, make sure that you also post them. And the And if there's any assignments that you have done, if you want to send regarding this course, you can send it to me. That's all. So this is it for today. And thank you very much for participating in today's class. And I hope that it was as beneficial to you as it was for me, and as entertaining to you as it was for me. And I wish everyone good morning, good afternoon, good noon, good evening, and good night, according to where you are. And touch the lit to everyone, and I'll see you all for the next class. That's all. And touch the lit.